I think my heart skipped a beat. Shame on him.
Just saying good morning.
Yeah.
Welcome to LA.
I'm gonna give him a good morning in a minute.
Uh-oh. Was that sign language?
I'll let him know he's number one. I would never do that.
Never.
No sign language, no.
I've really been kind of overwhelmed with impressions. I've been picking up on a woman that's been coming through that's been referencing to the name Margaret, and she's been coming through very persistently as a motherly or like a matriarch type of a figure in family. But she's definitely someone that's been trying to make an appearance. Hello. Hi, I'm Tyler.
Hello, Tyler.
Oh, lovely to meet you.
Oh my God, so lovely.
Oh, so great meeting you.
Well, come on
Oh, thank you for having me.
I'm Rachel Hunter. I think the world would probably know me from Sports Illustrated, model for years with all sorts of different companies when I was younger. Come on in. Sorry,
Wow.
the dog
Thank
doors are
you.
here.
Oh, it's
Snow
fabulous.
babies. Being that he's around 20, he probably will have no idea who I am. Come sit down.
Oh, yes, this is perfect.
I believe in possibly anything and everything because I think I'd be ignorant if I didn't. I'm always excited for something like this. I just want to see what happens.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. I'm so excited to get to do this. Well, today, before I start, I always kind of like to explain how I do what I do. The goal is just to kind of connect to the people that are going to be relevant for you,
Right.
the people
Okay.
that you're going to want to hear from. Okay, this is weird. I have to mention this. Horses. Give me 1 sec. I'm seeing horses coming through. Horses, 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 horses. I literally just got slapped upside the head with a bunch of visuals of horses.
Is it confusing right now? Because I do have,
Oh, what even is that?
a bridle on the floor. This is her. This
Whoa.
is, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's good to know.
Oh my God, really a bridle? A bridle. The horse. I mean, amazing. Not to even mention that, you know?
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
so sweet. The way this comes across, I have to mention, do you know, I'm just gonna go with it because there's an acknowledgement of a horse that's having me talk about an issue that I know I can't fix.
Right.
This animal acknowledges that when I know I'm going to deal with this, there's no point in keeping me alive.
He was a big draft quarter horse. I was actually renting him to ride and fell in love with him. And anyway, eventually after riding him for a few years, we put him out to pasture just so he could be free and run. And then I got a phone call a couple of years ago saying that he had passed away actually, and he went and died under a tree. Bless him, yeah. But he had a good life running around in the end.
Oh, what a sweetheart.
I know.
That's so sweet. Well, I definitely feel that coming through. I
Yeah.
mean, I definitely think that that's
Yeah.
their way. Animals still have a connection that's no different than you know,
Yeah.
a lot of people in life. And I
Yeah.
think that's that connection that, you know, really validates that.
Yeah. You know, it just showed there's so many things that make you up as a human being, and animals are one. And I think there's great comfort in that. What about love life?
What's kind of interesting is that I see you at your romantic happiest, like closer to like past the 5-year mark. And it's not that we're
Jesus,
not gonna,
5 years.
I know, don't worry, no, don't worry,
don't
all
worry.
good. And no doubt we'll probably
Jesus.
have, you know, partnerships and whatnot
Yeah.
within this time frame. But it's actually after that mark, you reach the happiest, I think, later on. And I don't think that you're at your happiest.
I don't want to be too busy.
Yeah.
I gotta get myself.
For sure.
You know, we've all wanted to work all these years, these women. Now we're gonna have to go work.
Relationships can happen earlier. It's just they reach a really good point at
Exactly.
that point. And I really like that a lot. So
Yeah.
at this point, I have some other people that are kind of trying to pop in. And then with that, I'll hold on to an object if you don't mind, if you brought any. Do you have any for me to hold on to?
Yeah, actually, the ring is broken, but I don't have to tell you, right?
That's okay, yeah. The less information, the better.
Okay.
Perfect. So I'm just gonna kind of get in this state and we will see what connects. Okay, so I have, generationally, I have a woman that's insisting that she come through, and she comes through as a very maternal, very matriarch type of a figure. She's coming through more so as like a grandmotherly type of a figure. I have a grandmother that's coming through that's having me take the role of mom, like mom, but not biologically
Right.
mom in the way that comes in.
Right.
And so she's kind of one of the big energies that I have to highlight. She's having me reference, let's see what this is. She's showing me deer, and I don't know what this is, but she's having me reference to deer. I'm seeing like fawns. So if somebody sees a deer or makes that association.
Yeah, we do. The deer is very significant here. You know, I think you all have animals that tend to appear in your life
Sure.
consistently, and you're like, oh, I keep seeing this. And for a member of my family, it's a deer,
Right.
and she was very close to her and still is. Yeah.
Wow. She's really having me kind of highlight that as being like
So
an area.
unusual
symbol.
she noticed that.
Yeah, it's
That's
interesting.
funny.
I want to mention there's a reference to an M-A-R name that I have to highlight that should be referencing the significance. M-A-R. When it's not Mary in the way this is coming through, it would have to be a specific reference to either Margaret or
That's
like
her name.
Margaret. Okay. Okay, so
That's
that's the way
crazy.
it comes across because it's not Mary.
That's her name, Margaret.
All
Yeah.
right, so I definitely have the connection with Margaret, but I would need to highlight
She's
that. She's spelling it out for me in my head, but I was like, are you Mary? She's like, I'm not Mary, I'm Margaret.
Yeah.
And she's having me highlight that. So please know that's her way of validating that she's coming through.
Wow.
She
That's
definitely has a
crazy.
connection. She's sweet.
My grandmother was like
Right.
when Mum had to work, she was like my mother, and she taught me a lot about nature, and she was incredibly strong, but very magical to me too.
Right. From her perspective, immediately what I want to say, she was content with the duration of life that she lived. So she, from her perspective, when she comes through, she's like,
91.
I live to be old.
Yeah, 91.
Yes, a long life. She's also acknowledging that she, to the best of her ability, was pretty active in the way this comes across. Like very active.
So young and youthful and active.
For sure. So for being her age and for even getting older, she was as active as you could possibly be
Right.
in the way this comes across, which I would say is kind of almost abnormal for how active she was.
Absolutely.
And that'd be correct.
She was swimming, and she was
Right.
like her life was active.
But she acknowledged ultimately kind of that she was appreciative that she did go relatively quickly. She referenced the last month of life, and she just said this was pretty rapid.
It happened fast. And my grandma was the biggest loss that I've probably felt ever, because she had so many layers to her that were such an influence in my life. And when you know you can't have physical contact with that anymore, that makes you sad.
So that for her is a sense of comfort. She acknowledges I'm not aware or awake when I actually pass. I feel like I'm not conscious enough to
Yeah.
know when I actually transition. But there's an acknowledgement of this as being quick in the way this kind of comes
Yeah.
across. How do I put this? So there was a reference somewhere within family that we have to figure out, and it's coming from Margaret. On the way here, there was a reference to Joan Crawford and a symbol for Mommy Dearest.
So crazy mother.
It's not your grandmother because
No.
lady is lovely.
Yeah.
What's interesting is we're actually going further back and referencing kind of generationally. I feel like we're kind
Her
of going
mother.
back, like either her mother or like mother's mother, but I feel like I'm having to highlight like way back then.
Yeah.
There's reference to mother issues, someone who would have dealt with a mother issue, mother-daughter dynamic, is what I was kind of thinking this could have potentially been. It's not a recent type of a thing,
No.
but it's an acknowledgement of basically a mother that would have dealt with
Mental
issues to the point where she kind of disconnected from her kids to some extent or wasn't able to
Yeah,
fully.
yeah.
And then there's reference to daughter, and then daughter is super resilient, and like I get a reference
Very
to being
much so,
resilient and very independent, but it's because of that relationship or that lack of relationship or connection with mom that she references to feeling of like being really independent.
That makes sense. It's funny, I had this conversation with her in the last 2 years when she was in her retirement home. We would sit and just reminisce, and I just ask her questions constantly about that side of the family. But there was those issues of, you know, probably depression, and I think there was a lot of stuff that kind of trickled down, which made Grandma a very independent, very strong matriarch, for sure.
I think that a lot of that came from having to rely on herself.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think she's learned a lot from her own relationship with her
Yeah.
mom. And I think it also goes to show that we can be aware of the cycles in families and we can see them and that we can correct them.
Yeah, because that's an interesting thing you should bring up, because the cycles of families, because we're such strong women and we
Right.
came from such a strong matriarch. In fact, the whole family, the female side was pretty strong.
By her acknowledging her relationship with mom, like that's her way of getting a release. And her soul now knows that it's been said that she's been able to kind of improve and understood from her relationship with her mother, you know, what to do and what not to do.
Right.
And she tried her best to integrate that. And
Yeah.
just as you'll continue to do your best, you know, and so on and so
No,
forth.
you do. It's pretty incredible when something like that comes through, because there are all those important family relationships, but to validate something like that important and that meaningful, is always amazing and comforting.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Amazing.
You were so sweet.
Beautiful, thank
I'm
you.
so glad.
That was amazing, and he's such an incredible soul. When you have these people that are very, very talented in this way is intriguing. I mean, and 20. Who knows themselves at 20? I mean, I'm 46 and still not food. I'm kidding.
As my mom and I were sitting in the car after the reading, we saw Rachel come out and actually walk towards us. My mom was absolutely ecstatic to see somebody that she actually recognized.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, you
Your
are
eyes
so
too.
Yes.
lovely. Tyler, oh my God, this is Rachel Hunter. You are so beautiful. Oh my God.
Oh my God. I'm so glad you got to.
My husband is going to die. He is going to die.
Oh my God, your son though. Forget it. Is it running your family?
No. No,
Nobody's.
Tyler's just all unique all by himself.
Oh, so great seeing
It
you.
is
Thank
such an
you.
honor to get to meet
Oh
you.
my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. God, she was so lovely.
I didn't know who that is.
Oh my God. She's like a major,
Oh.
beautiful supermodel. She was married to Rod Stewart, I believe.
Oh, okay. She was just such a nice person. I mean, fundamentally, she was just so lovely.
Gosh.
At this point, I'm not impressed by what people do for a living or what they're known for. I'm impressed when they're a nice person.
I know, I know.
And that to me is like an honor. Like, if you're a nice person, it's an honor to meet you.
Right. I appreciate it when I get to meet all of these fascinating people.
Well, you're a fascinating person, so.
Wait
They're
a
looking to meet
minute.
you.
That was so sweet.
Yeah. Well, it's never a dull moment. That's
I know.
for sure.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh my goodness, I didn't see that car. Oh God, that wouldn't have been good. Oh my gosh, I did not see that car.